The game is set basically in the last half of the 19th century, primarily in Louisiana. We have a large open world map. Players can pick a number of targets that they want to try to track down. Be very, very quiet.
So you guys, the bosses have left traces in the maps, and that means that also people are looking for the same tracks and they're going after the same stuff, and you're going to encounter other players there.
You're way too busy. Get some cover.
Trying to follow the track of the boss you're hunting down, and all of a sudden you're hearing that thing that sticks out that you know is not AI.
So you see spirits rising up somewhere, maybe play trigger them. You hear some distant gunshots, you see some flashes in the woods.
And that is the moment where you go like, okay buddy, as a player, I heard somebody reloading, somebody's fiddling with some lock, somebody's opening a gate, somebody walked too close to some, don't kill, there's somebody around me and I don't know where it is.
So the resupply center is over.
Your voice is casted out in a proximity around you, so if you're too far away from your partner, suddenly they can't hear you. If you're too close to an enemy, suddenly they can.
And the most scary moments of this game is when I'm in some dark bush somewhere and I'm hiding around and I'm just hearing people moving, talking. And I don't want to move. If I make one call, I'm dead immediately. So you're actually at the boss. Is it the boss fight? Alright, then. This fight is going to be here. Then you have the kill, and the vanishing phase. The vanishing phase is a defensive mission, and it takes a little bit of time to open a portal to hell and send the boss back, which will send a signal to the whole map. Somebody's doing something over there. We call it the hunter becomes the hunted. The boss will leave a token, which you will take up. Now you need to get the fuck out of Dodge. Quick, then goes to the guys.
Egypt is divided. Vast armies amass, while great leaders conspire. Ptolemy, the boy king, he wants the entire region kept under heel.
If you ally with my sister, I will kill every last Roman in Alexandria.
But he's a puppet. We do not know who pulls the strings. The exiled queen Cleopatra thirsts for power.
We have informants in each region.
Across Egypt, mysterious forces work against us.
She wields followers with lethal skill in pursuit of her throne.
It is time for assassinations.
Caesar, the legendary tactician, with the might of Rome at his back. His true motives are unclear.
Together we can do more than Alexander did.
He will have his say before this war is over. Good, evil, these are phantasms of the desert. Willpower is all that matters. not be a king by it, but history follows you. Assassin's Creed Origins. Available October 27th.
And here we see the player needs to fight a little bit to get the fish. Nice, catch of the day on the menu.
So it's nice to unwind with some fishing every now and then, but we know the cult isn't taking any breaks because they have an apocalypse to prepare for. As you explore the county, you'll come across cultists working hard to serve Joseph, the father of their cult. They're taking food and supplies for their bunkers, they're blocking the roads so no one can escape, and they're destroying resources so the resistance can't use them. And it looks like we spotted something up ahead. Yeah, let's take out our binoculars.
Alright, seems like there's a small group of cultists there, Mari.
Alright, so this looks like a forced baptism. What do you say we get in there, Phil?
Yeah, let's do it.
Go Boomer!
Alright, Boomer showing off one of his skills. This can really be a game changer in a fight where you're a bit low of ammo or you don't have the right weapon for the situation.
He's a good dog. You know, Boomer's a great all-rounder who can support any playstyle. Even without your commands, he'll fetch guns for you, take down cultists in a fight, and he'll tag enemies and animals from far away with his keen sense of smell. And it looks like we got one here.
Let's do it.
Pedal to the metal.
That boss bobblehead didn't even move. It was so good.
We got him bleed onto the dash.
That's it. Boom.
So it sounds like we're listening to the cult radio station. I gotta say, some of their hymns are pretty catchy, Phil.
It's pretty addictive. I agree.
This is the home of Nick Rye. He's a crop duster and a family man. He's doing what he can to keep his family safe and keep the cult from getting his plane, but it looks like they've beaten us here, so let's jump right in. There's no time to waste.
And let Boomer kind of create distractions for us to get behind cover and help Nick fight the cultists. In Far Cry 5, you'll need to improvise and choose from a vast arsenal of weapons and find elements in the environment to take down the enemy. There we go. Boomer will stand his ground and defend you from predators, as there are a lot of moments for the player to hunt or be hunted. And we've built a deep ecosystem that represents Montana's wilderness.
So, you know, we've seen ducks, a sturgeon, deer, and this is just a small sample of all of the wild animals that you'll encounter in Hope County.
But I think right now we are the predator.
Yeah, we got them on the run. They're smoking. And we did it.
Well done.
Dead Matter is a true sandbox survival horror game. You will fight to survive in a zombie-packed, post-apocalyptic world, designed from the bottom up to foster whichever playstyle suits you best. Home to many threats, post-apocalyptic Alberta will throw everything it can at you, from hordes of flesh-crazed undead, to AI trying to make their way through the world, and of course, other players that are doing what they can to survive. Though above all else, mistakes are killer. Plan accordingly. Our massive world is based on Alberta, Canada, and it is designed to deliver an immersive world that is packed full of landmarks begging to be explored. We've developed a huge variety of procedural generation tools with artist control in mind. These tools allow our very small team of artists to deliver a large, detailed, and immersive world. All of the tools we are currently showing will be available to the modding community. The metagame manages the loot economy, the electricity and water flowing through the map, trees that have been chopped down, potential sources of contamination for resources, as well as the weather, including a season cycle. AI and zombie movement are also tracked via the metagame, and can trigger events especially if there's a large group or horde present. These events can be interacted with and will result in potential rewards or penalties depending on your actions. Our largest design goal is replayability. Experienced players, especially those that enjoy the PvE and cooperative elements of our game, will find every session to be different from the last. This is important because we want to play our game too. There is also a variety of buildings that you can choose to reclaim in order to aid your long-term survival. This quiet, unassuming suburban home is our first example of a building that you can reclaim. That, yes, you can move furniture around, you can place lights, lanterns, generators, anything, even barricade your own windows the way that you want. It is your house. Though, no matter where you decide to stay, you'll be responsible for getting the power back up, getting some water barrels, as well as maybe setting up some furniture. Another option to choose from is a loot-filled industrial warehouse. This is for players that like to customize their gear, as well as build things. If you're more of a fan of driving things, then the gas station and auto repair shop is more for you. Like the vehicles you were looking at, right now, all weapons in our game are customizable. Currently, we have over 50 unique melee weapons and counting in our game. This does not include any reskins or lazy edits of existing models. Every weapon will also be modifiable. The baseball bat and the machete are the best examples of where we would like to take this concept. We need your help to get a polished, playable alpha version of our game onto Steam within the next 6 months.
Henry! Get up now. There's work to be done. Wait, what's this? You've been at that sword play again, haven't you?
What got into you, Hal? You and your friends threw dung at Deutsch's freshly whitewashed house. Deutsch was talking treason at the tavern about Sigismund and the king.
Someone has to bring order and reunite the Empire!
That's for Sigismund!
Woo-hoo!
What the fuck do you think you're doing?
We're just doing what we have to do!
Your sons! I'll make those smiles off your faces!
Look me in the eye! If you want to convince someone that they're wrong, try using your mouth, and not your fists.
Henry, help us!
Help us, son. Don't be a coward.
Sigismund attacks. They can't win.
We have to prepare for the worst.
You spent all your days drinking and chasing witches. What kind of fool are you, boy?
You have courage, but you need training, arms, a horse.
Please, take me into your service and give me the chance to learn these things. Put it all behind you. I never want to forget this. The time has come for those horse sons to pay for what they did to us. Move! Move! Sir! They're coming! There's no time!
A higher level of awareness will give you some additional benefits, such as the ability to detect imminent dangers. It won't work 100% of the time, but when you get notified, be sure to react swiftly, or you may lose your life. Okay, let's cover the stealth skill now. The stealth skill is linked with the dexterity attribute, but it also depends on other factors. To determine the final level of noise that your character makes, we first analyze the type and amount of gear your character carries. Then we take into consideration the movement and ground material type. This is the starting point of the noise level calculations. Next step is to factor in the overall weight of the character. Again, this system is fully dynamic, and it's linked directly with the character's metabolism. All things that influence body mass are taken into consideration, like fluid or food intake, for example. The larger the body, the more noise it will make. Don't you simply hate when you think that you're safely hidden far away in dense foliage just to realize that you stick out like a dog's balls? In Scum, our methods allow players to be equally competitive regardless of the graphical settings they use to play the game. The guy at camp is preparing some delicious beans. Let's call him Donald. 3 soldiers are approaching him over the hill. The left one, called Huey, is crawling through dense vegetation. The middle one, Dewey, is crouching his way towards the larger bush, and the right one is simply walking straight in the open like John Wayne in Sands of Iwo Jima. Let's address him as Louie. Notice that from the Donald's perspective, he only sees Louie. Dewey is well hidden in the bush, while Huey can't be seen because he's well camouflaged. On far distances, the game engine doesn't render foliage, yet still, Huey is invisible until he decides to blow his cover simply by changing his stance. At that moment, his camouflage has been terminated, and he becomes visible. The camouflage skill can only be activated in dense foliage when your character is prone and out of plain sight.
Extinction takes place in a lush, vibrant fantasy world, full of painterly textures and bright, rich colors. But this world has come under siege by an organized army of massive otherworldly invaders known as the Reveni, who have begun systematically eradicating humanity off the face of the planet. You play as Avil, one of the last of the Sentinels, a legendary group of warriors with the skills and tools necessary in order to take down these massive foes. The gameplay in Extinction emphasizes high-speed traversal around the environment. In addition to the basic jump and double jump, Avil can also run horizontally along walls, run vertically straight up walls, air dash through the sky, come floating back down gently, can bounce off of springy objects in the environment such as building awnings or treetops, and can use his whip like a grappling hook to get around. When he does this, time slows down, giving him time to plan his next move and make split-second decisions. Of course, Avil's ultimate goal is to save as much of humanity as possible. He needs to protect them from the constant onslaught of the ogres and their minions. He does this by engaging them in real-time, skill-based combat. In addition to his series of regular strikes, he can also execute powerful AoEs, launch enemies into the sky, slam them back down to the ground, cancel his attacks into rune strikes for massive damage, and cancel his attacks into dodges in order to evade his opponent's strikes. Of course, the star of the show is Avil's combat with the ogres. Now, with their minions defeated, it's time for Avil to take on their master, one of the enormous Reveni who has been rampaging through the countryside, obliterating everything in our fully destructible environments. The ogres themselves are fully dismemberable, but they wear armor in order to protect themselves. In order to take this beast down, Avil must first destroy that armor. This is done by a powerful charged-up rune strike. Once the armor is destroyed, Avil can then dismember the limb underneath. Dismembering limbs like this builds energy which Avil will need to ultimately be able to strike the finishing blow. And as you can see, this ogre is none too happy about the loss of its leg, and Avil has to dodge its attacks while also trying to remove the remaining armor in order to get to the limbs beneath them. This is an extremely dangerous situation to be in, because if any of these blows actually manages to hit Avil, it will be death in a single hit. Having now absorbed enough power and weakened the ogre sufficiently, Avil is now ready to go ahead and strike the finishing blow. Using the traversal options we showed off earlier, Avil is able to climb up the ogre's back, take out its helmet, and deliver the coup de grace. That was a relatively easy fight against a relatively basic opponent, but not all enemies are so simple. Depending on what armor, weapons, and abilities they have, each ogre presents its own unique challenges, and requires different strategies and tactics to take them.
The army's pulling out. Come on! Last truck, get in!
Want some of this? How about you?
How will you decide who belongs?
Thanks! I owe you.
How will you choose a place to call home? How will you build it? Work together to defend it from the terror just outside the walls. When you get hungry, cold, what risks will you take? What mistakes will you make? When the only family you've got is about to tear itself apart, will you end a life?
Wait.
Or save it?
Please.
This is our only one, but we need everybody we've got. Too deep. Realize no one gets a second chance.
How will you find the strength to carry on?
back and bigger than ever. With more variety than ever before, you're going to need to unlock your inner master mechanic to take full advantage of Payback's offerings. You won't be limited to just body kits. This time around, every individual car part can be modified in order to craft your one-of-a-kind ride. Every race you win takes you one step closer to your dream car. Complete events to collect performance parts. It's all up to where you finish. The higher you're standing, the more you'll get. Or roll up to a tuning shop to upgrade your engine, transmission, whatever you need to stay ahead of the pack. Explore the world to unearth forgotten legends. Collect and bring these classics back to life by finding or earning the perfect parts. From scrap to stock to supercar. When it comes to any customization item, everything is achievable with time and skill. Your ride is waiting. Play your way, win your way. See you on the streets of Need for Speed Payback.
Space for 5 cars in our garage, but this time around we have got a virtual warehouse, so that allows us to effectively give you limitless cars. So you can bring them in and out of your garage and, work with the cars that you want to work with.
Cool. So you can do just as many as you want.
Absolutely. Alright, so let's talk about some of these cars. So we've got the BMW M4. We had the M4 in the last game, but this time we've upgraded. We've gone for the GTS. So it's a bit more track orientated, it's a bit more performance oriented.
Okay, we got some muscle as well.
We've got some muscle cars. So last time around we didn't really hit the money on the muscle cars. So yeah, we've done a bit more this time around. And the Nissan 350Z, right? So everybody's been asking for it. We can't deny the fans what they want, so we've put it in Need for Speed.
Awesome.
And this one, it may look quirky, right? It seems a bit out of place in Need for Speed, but what we've done is we've built this feature called the Derelict that, again, Marcus touched upon it in the live show, but what the Derelict is a way for us to kind of let the player explore the open world that we've got. It's a rich open world that we have, so we put these cars out there in the world for you to find and explore and kind of take them back to your garage and find all the parts that you need to build them. Cool. So effectively it takes a car from stock to scrap to stock to supercar.
Cool. So let's jump in the Beetle and fix it up a bit.
Yes, absolutely. So it's looking a bit run down right now, right?
Yeah.
So we want to restore it back to stock.
Yeah. Now we should probably say as well, these derelicts, you don't need to restore them like this. You can upgrade them a little bit. I think we'll show that in a little bit.
Absolutely. And you could leave it like this if you wanted to.
Yeah, for sure. Not my particular style, but you know what I mean.
It might be somebody's style.
So yeah, you can see some more of the parts. They're looking pretty good.
Absolutely. So we've tried to make sure that we've got parts in every interaction point that we have for this car. We want to make sure that we've got a rich experience wherever you go on the car. We've designed a lot of parts for this car as well because, out there in reality, there's not that much thing you can do to a Beetle, but this is Need for Speed, right? And we want to take it that extra step further.
Of course. So, we can play around with this car. Let's talk about some of the brands that are also in Need for Speed Payback.
Yeah, so we've not ditched any of the brands that we had previously. So we've come back and we've got your Rocket Speeds, we've got your Liberty Walks, we've got your Voltex parts, you've got APR parts, we've got all these rims that you can see right now.
So many rims.
So we love that stuff. We want to bring that back to the people.
Of course. So, I think we've done a pretty good job of showing this off. Shall we show off the big